Hello, I am Robert Tulio, M007929909.
Hi, I'm Catherine Francis, student number M00793830.
Hello, thank you for your time today. Our research objective is to study mainly on GCC airlines industry with a focus of customer experience and demand. This study will explore and identify the industry segments, environment, opportunities, and threats in the context of COVID-19. First of all, we will do an overview of industry customer segmentation using the segmentation framework. And then we will go through a microenvironment analysis using the Porter's 5 forces. And then we'll do the industry strategic groupings with mobility barriers and success factors. And then we'll go the macroenvironment analysis using PASTEL. We will also go through an industry turbulence identification. And then we will also do an outline of environmental opportunities and threats. Customer segmentation. In the first step, by utilizing the segmentation framework by Westford and Ibrahim E., the variables which can help in clustering customers were determined. The purpose of creating clusters of customers with similar characteristics and behavior in the same group is crucial to any strategy in order to understand buying motives, therefore tailor marketing activities and brand engagement. As discussed by Westford and Ibrahim, the goal is to create clusters that are similar within and distinctively different from one another, which are clearly the goals for customer segmentation. The grouping were defined in the context of the categories. Some of the top variables contributing in the segmentation of travelers, could be leisure or business, are as follows. Characteristics or hard, social, economic, behavioral or subjective, benefit soft, behavioral or objective, price sensitivity. We have therefore identified the following segments. First, no-frills flyers. Travelers who are highly sensitive to price and ready to sacrifice comfort, in-flight and post-flight comfort, punctuality and booking flexibility over price. The FFP flyers. These are the travelers who look for a balanced approach to price and comfort, flexibility, and punctuality. And lastly, we have the upscale flyers. These are the flyers who have a high-income travelers who seeks comfort, flexibility, and punctuality with the least price sensitivity. Strategic groupings. Utilizing the strategic grouping theory by Hooley G., we will be revealing the different competitive position of industry rivals by strategic group mapping, showing you who your competition is. This will show you different competitive positions of industry rivals by strategic group mapping. The definition of a strategic group mapping is a cluster of firms with a very similar competitive and strategic approaches. Based on research using annual reports and industry reports referenced in the notes section, we have compared perceived value versus the number of destinations. We have identified the following strategic group. First, low-cost carriers such as Fly Dubai and Wizz Air, the flag carriers which are Oman Air and Saudi Arabian, the branded carriers which consist of Emirates and Qatar Airways. Today, we'll be focusing on the branded carriers, and I will take you through the mobility barriers and key success factors. Mobility barriers and success factor. Here are the reasons why flag carriers cannot penetrate the market of branded carriers due to the following reasons. Mobility barriers, aeropolitical affairs, governmental influence, alliances and strategic partnership, hybrid aircraft models, advanced technology, partners with travel agency, full service, primary airport usage, train, air and ground personnel, connecting hubs and radial network, numerous flights every day, aviation law, market and brand strength, location. Here are the branded carrier success factor. Differentiated product offerings, time slot allocation privileges, brand strength, best pre and post flight experience, customized flight experience, located in premium hubs, connecting and long-haul flights, value-added services, premium and flexible loyalty programs, staff quality and skill sets, CSR embedded in their strategy, government support and influence, aviation law, economical and employment influence.
Now let's look at the micro environment. I will be focusing on the branded carriers again like before. Today I'll be using Porter's 5 Forces model to analyse the micro environment. This will determine the extended rivalry that results from all 5 forces defined in an industry structure and shape, and the nature of the competitive interactions within that industry. In the context of COVID today, we have seen the industry structure change dramatically overnight, with a dramatic shift in profitability for the industry. The 5 forces model will help us to determine and identify the most industry relevant and influential forces right now. Let's start with the threat of new entries. We've put this as low. COVID has highlighted industry weaknesses and the industry unattractiveness, with high costs, high regulations, and a medium to low profitability, and even now it's low and actually minus profitability in the industry. Many elements that have a huge and lasting impact on this industry are completely out of the airline's control. We have seen this during COVID with many governments banning flights and travel bans. The airlines are very much at the peril of these decisions. Therefore, new entrants to the marketplace represent a minimal threat. So we put this as low. Competitive rivalry. This is super high. Even before COVID-19, we know how competitive it is, especially in our branded carriers. Qatar Airways competing with Emirates and Emirates competing with Etihad. The level of competition in airline industries is huge. The big airlines essentially fly to the same places out of the same airports for the same prices or price competitiveness. The amenities or lack of amenities they offer are similar, and the seats in their different classes are very, very similar. Buyer power, medium to high. Buyers had and continue to have, even since COVID, even higher bargaining power over airlines, because the cost and effort required to switch from one carrier to the other is really minimal. Technology has a huge role to play in this also. Things like price comparison sites are driving down prices and increasing buyer power even more so. Threat of substitution. This is very low. A substitute, as defined by the 5 forces model and Porter, is not a product or service that competes directly with the company's offering, but acts as a substitute for it. Therefore, until such time there is a technology advancement that will replace a more efficient way of travelling long distances, it's not going to happen. Supplier power, medium to low. Airlines can likely find a replacement supplier without a problem if the relationship goes bad or they're just looking for alternative options. In contrast, the supplier is unlikely to find a buyer capable of replacing the sales volumes and the size that maybe Emirates or Etihad are able to offer them and able to give them with their contracts. Again, focusing on branded carriers, we're going to talk you through a pestle or pest analysis. To understand the macro environment, we have carried out a pestle or pest analysis. This will help us determine the marketing impact of the changing business environment to be able to respond and to be alert, as stated by Tulio G. Political and legal. Aero political affairs and legislation has a huge amount of external influence on the industry. In the GCC as a region, the governments have substantial influence on the airlines and their political affairs. For example, Emirates overnight had to stop flying to Qatar because of the political situation. In the context of COVID, borders closed, lockdowns and travel stopped. IATA have even called for governments to step up and to encourage travel and stop stopping travel. According to a live dashboard by LexisNexis, economic impacts of COVID are the most discussed topic out there at the moment. Global economic recovery from COVID will have large impacts on the industry. We know this. Crude oil, recessions, disposable income changes will all have an impact on travel. And now in the context of COVID, it's happened all at once. It's also important to note that the airline industry as a whole is not only affected by the economy, but also affects the economy directly. As IATA discusses, 87.7 million of jobs are supported by the aviation industry worldwide. Social, changing mindsets, changing social developments, changing demographics and changing populations. There's a huge amount of impact from COVID on this. Where do we start? Technology is huge. Increase of virtual meetings, smarter technology, big data, COVID-19 related technologies, safety related technologies, augmented realities, price comparison sites technologies, skyscanner.com. These all have huge amount of influence on the development and the progress of our airline industry and how we move forward in the context of COVID. In accordance to IATA, the environmental impacts of environmental policy on the industry could affect the airline's recovery further and slow recovery from COVID even further. We need to note this, how we interact with environmental legislation, how we deal with this as an industry is crucial. In the context of COVID, we wanted to then highlight the market conditions in more detail by showing the market turbulence. Again, focusing on the branded carriers strategic group, not the industry as a whole. Utilising the management theory of Igor Ansoff et al., we have analysed the key aspects of environmental turbulence in the context of COVID-19 and now, concluding the strategic group are experiencing a surpriseful environment as it is weathering a surpriseful marketing turbulence and changing innovative turbulence, which you can see here on the screen, which we've mapped out. Opportunities. Digital innovation across the customer journey. Digital solutions are crucial in areas of operational efficiency, contactless boarding, revenue management and network planning, and will play a huge role in stimulating demand. And this gives airlines a big opportunity. Digital marketing innovation. This is really a chance for our branded carriers to be innovative in the ways that they reach out to their consumers and potential consumers. Data, using predictive technology to start predicting what's going to happen next and predict those behaviours. Governmental support, working with governments across the world to build travel confidence through safety measures and confidence building. This is an opportunity to remove those barriers such as quarantines and lockdowns and stopping people to travel. Partnerships and interline agreements. How can airlines, perhaps from different strategic groups, work together in this time to weather the storm? Ethical. It is crucial. Cost saving in an ethical way is a huge opportunity to show core company values. The world is watching you. Trust. Continue to build and communicate trust in such a difficult time is crucial. Passenger experience. A unique opportunity to lead the way in terms of creating a new and digital customer journey. It is a chance for our branded carriers to show why they are the best. COVID safety. This is crucial. This is an opportunity for airlines to show why they are the best and why they are the safest to travel with.
Threats. Competitive rivalry, reduced market share. Airlines with similar characteristics such as Emirates, Qatar, and Etihad will continue to compete each other as they have the same prices, services, and offers. With low demand caused by the pandemic, a decrease in market share is evident in today's world health crisis. Governmental policy and restrictions, lockdowns and travel restrictions. Some countries like in UK, France, and Israel impose second lockdowns, having further impacts on the airline industry. Long-haul travel recovery, slow. Long-haul flight recovery is expected to be slower and could result in a loss of a market share. Environmental policy. Governments apply policy and legislation. More environmental legislation, taxes, and governance will slow recovery further. Economic uncertainties. Global recession, market volatility, unemployment, GDP. Economic structures such as unemployment, recession, market volatility, and GDP all play a huge role in the profitability of the industry as a whole, inside out and outside in. Slow vaccine rollout could also slow recovery.